Hi guys. So I'm the only one here right now. I think Snacks
Hey.
left. I think Kingdom left for some random reason, and we don't have Tommy for the fact that his webcam's been messing up. And while Gully was giving
Come
his
on,
timer,
have me. My
Hey.
internet is just being bad. What? I'm intrigued to find out what picture goalie is used in substitute for me. I really
oh,
am.
I have to check. Hold on. Okay, we have 5 seconds left.
I'm still waiting. I
And
hate it.
two.
We're always behind.
We're always behind. Okay, I'm waiting.
Oh,
Oh,
here we
that
go.
that transition is nice, Goalie. That is nice.
Oh
He's
no!
used the
You
picture I
can
sent.
use that.
That's a nice picture. That's a
It
solid
It
picture.
basically is what that
Change
is my
it to up.
face right now.
That's awesome.
I need to pull it up so I can see the chat.
It's a pretty nice picture of you, Tommy. I'm not gonna lie. Like if you put that as your, your profile
It's
picture
better
on
than
Twitter.
the original one. When goalie first came to me, I was like, "Oh, can you take a picture of yourself?" And then I realized what it was for. I was like, "No!" I thought he was like, I don't know what he was like planning on doing with it. It was a bit dodgy at the time, but when I saw it, I was like, "Damn it!"
That's a great picture. Well, guys, we have a great show for you all today. By the way, happy Columbus Day. Since America technically was founded, I totally wore this shirt on purpose. So, there you said nah, Snacks?
Blah.
Blah.
Whatever.
Okay. No respect for elders, I see. I'm kidding. But we have a good show for you guys today. We got Kingdom Tommy and obviously Big Snacks here today. Before we get into the show, and a cool section I have for the question of the week, I added something really cool. But otherwise, we're going to give our intros, kind of talk about, your affiliation to the community. You have like 30 seconds, sponsors, whatever you want to talk about, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to let Tommy go first.
Oh
Then I'm
no!
going to go to Kingdom.
Oh no!
Trying to maintain a stable show.
Look
Then
at the show, Lynn.
What happened now?
He put Tommy crying in the shower as his picture.
Oh no!
Oh, he changed it back. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Just give our intros. Tommy, go first. That's
All right.
the only thing I was really saying.
I mean, shout out to Neil in the chat for saying looks like Tommy's at his 5th birthday party. Yeah, I pretty much am. But
Your 5th birthday party in the shower?
The face you're seeing on the screen right now is generally how happy I am in real life. I'll admit that. I'm quite a positive person. But hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. I do YouTube videos and I'm on the STiKS. We'll be doing stuff, I should say, for Excel and a couple other things that are lined up in the future. I'm your resident ginger, and that's pretty much all you need to know about myself.
Nice. Kingdom Soldier.
Hello, my name is Kingdom Soldier. And Dip Dop Doopity, yes, that is a weird name. I just wanted to answer your question from the chat. Use my code Kingdom, 10% G Fuel, STiKS, 5% Scuff. Back on the show for the 2nd week in a row. It's amazing. I don't know what's going on. And somehow Snacks snuck on to the show. I don't know what's going on. Somebody must have taken over.
with Hennessy.
Oh, okay. With Hennessy by Landon. I knew Landon secretly was an alcoholic, but I didn't want to talk about it publicly. So
you guys have no idea what's actually in this mug right now. You have no idea what's in here. You're never gonna know either. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's Jack Daniels. I know. I don't have anything else to say. Next.
There you go. All right, Snacks. Hopefully
I'm eating butter pecan ice cream. It's really good.
Yeah, butter pecan ice cream is actually really, really good. Anyway, I'm Snacks. Some of you know me. Some of you don't. Some of you have heard good things. A lot of you have heard a lot of bad things. But anyway, I am the owner of Team Justice. I am the owner of a couple of YouTube networks. And it is what it is. Follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. You will thoroughly enjoy it. I talk a lot of crap. Sometimes people don't want to hear it, but it is what it is.
I like it.
Back to Tommy crying in
the I want to ask though, like, when was that the picture you have from not having the Black Ops 3 beta? Is that the image?
Yeah. So basically, to give everyone a bit of kind of insight into that picture or that little GIF, if Goldie wants to get it back on screen right now, that would be ideal. Basically, I did a little kind of parody video because obviously I couldn't play the beta because I didn't have a PS4, what I do have now, but it's obviously too late. So I made a little parody about, it was like a little charity advert of like, give to the people that can't play Black Ops 3, aka me. And yes, I had the wise idea to film myself in the shower crying to kind of seek your guys' I don't know, sympathy, or I don't know really. Afterwards, it wasn't a good idea though. Let's put it that way. But at least it was a warm shower. That's all I can say.
It's good. No cold water here. It's always nice to know. All right, guys. What is up? My name is Landon, aka Mr. Rostermania on Twitter. I make YouTube videos, made one today, in fact, and I do a lot of stuff around the community. I'm also a caster. I'll be at World Finals this weekend. Going to be insane, along with Goalie, Crush, and Hitch. I'm not sure if Fox is going or not, but hopefully he is. But yeah, we have a lot of cool people going to be at the World Finals this weekend, including myself. So that's going to do it for our intros. Now I've done something really cool today that I'm really proud of. But it's really a basic concept, but I was really proud of me putting forth this effort. So what we always do, and my favorite part on the entire show, is doing the question of the week. If you've ever been in the show before, you know this is my favorite part. So what I implemented was a STiKS hashtag question of the week box. Okay, so I made this myself. And if you ever want to tweet me using the hashtag QOTW for question of the week, I will put your question of the week in this box and randomly draw one out. All right? So I've had people do that in the past, and I've implemented those in here. So you guys can kind of see the entries that we've had already. And so I don't even know what the question of the week is ever going to be. Thank you. So this is probably like the best addition I've ever given the STiKS. So it's going to be a weekly thing. Okay? So I'm going to randomly draw out of this so you guys can kind of see. Going to fly it around. Don't
drop it. Don't drop it.
All right. I have it. The winning ticket. And the question of the week is...
Drum roll.
The best YouTuber out there right now. So who is your favorite YouTuber out there right now? It's backwards, but I don't care. So who are you watching lately? I'm going to throw this away. Who are you watching recently who has really caught your eye that you like a lot? Best YouTuber. Or it could be a channel, like if you like a certain channel a lot.
We can answer in any order, right?
Oh, yeah, any order. Whoever wants to go first, feel free. Hopefully it's not me, because I don't actually know.
That is hard.
The disrespect is back, is all I'm saying.
Okay. It's a good one.
If you don't know, you better figure it out. Because the guy is a genius.
I don't think I'm subscribed.
You should.
I will have to.
I should subscribe to.
He made his first video that he's done in a couple of years.
That's probably why I'm subbed.
You guys don't know who Dr. Disrespect is? He is Guy Beam that used to work for Sledgehammer Games. He was a YouTuber before he worked for Sledgehammer. Very good YouTuber at that. And he quit doing YouTube to do video games. But the guy is a genius.
Holy, stop changing my picture.
Won't be long before he hit 1 million subscribers. And he's been out of the game for a couple of years.
I remember him making videos like back in the day. I'm glad to see he's back, even though I didn't really watch his videos then, but still. So Snacks, yours is, who was it again? You said Dr. Disrespect? Okay. Anyone have theirs either? Because I have mine. If I need to go next, I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you want.
I'll let you go.
Shout out to the girlfriend who actually got me watching his videos. She is probably actually watching somewhere hidden away. But his name's Jacksepticeye. He's actually quite a well-known YouTuber. He's like got 6 million subscribers. He's Irish. Yeah, he just has so much enthusiasm, so much fun to watch. Like, he makes any game entertaining. I know it's quite I don't know if it's an obvious answer because he's quite a big YouTuber, but yeah, he's just been so entertaining.
I'm Irish. Kiss me.
You're not Irish.
Oh, my bad.
No, Black Irish is a drink, but there's no real. I don't think there's any real.
Jewish.
Is that actually?
That's true.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
I have to say really quick. I remember watching Jacksepticeye whenever he used to make like really old videos. He has like, I forget what they're called, like those. It's like you're in a game, but you have like the goggles on. I forget what they're called, but it's like you're in the game. You're not controlling anything.
Oculus Rift.
Yeah, he used to make a lot of those videos. Like I remember, like a year ago, I was watching him. That's all I know about him. So, Kingdom, do you have yours, or shall I go next to give my favorite YouTube channel?
Well, I can. It's hard because I don't watch these days. To be honest, I don't watch anybody consistently. Like, I will watch your guys' videos, and randomly I'll watch whatever pros thumbnail and title looks interesting. So
Okay.
I may watch Scump once a week, twice a week. I may watch Apathy once a week, twice a week. I may watch Nameless, Crim6. I mean, there's so many people making videos now. And I don't even watch. I used to watch Casey Neistat every day, but I slowed down. And I don't even watch him every day. And I watch a lot of CS:GO videos, but they're all over the place. I watch, Tweeday if it's a good video. So it just really depends. But I will say that anybody trying to learn that is interested in knowledge, there's a YouTube channel called Crash Course, and I will link you guys in the chat. And basically, this YouTube channel, let me see how many subscribers they have, because this is one that I do actually watch most of their videos. They have 3.4 million subscribers, 280 million views.
So what is it? Education?
It's basically they do crash courses on everything. And I was studying about the Civil War, and I found this page like 2 months ago, and they do everything. They do anatomy, they do history, world history, chemistry. It's all on their page, but I'll link it. It's pretty cool. I like it, and it's random information, and they make it interesting. Like they put things on the screen that float around and use good graphics and stuff like that. So that's probably not, I wouldn't say that's the best YouTube channel. But it's really cool that they put a lot of time into just educating people, and it's worked for them. Some videos get a whole bunch of views, some videos get 40, 50,000. So I mean, which is a lot, but and it looks like they have Crash Course Kids, which I didn't even know existed. So I might be subscribing to that for my children. So
yeah, if there's one big channel, there's usually a second one somewhere hiding behind it.
100%. That's mine.
Okay, I honestly thought you were gonna say Casey Neistat, like 100%. I was like, okay, Kingdom's gonna say Casey Neistat. Tommy's probably gonna choose some British YouTuber, and I was like, yeah, assuming everyone's in my mind.
No, Neistat. I just don't watch him as much. It's
no, I know.
Oh my gosh, goalie with these pictures of Tommy.
I need to say,
Christ. I need to take these off the internet.
Too late.
What does he
has
now?
them.
Goalie has them.
Oh my
forever.
gosh. Goalie must stalk your YouTube and just take random pictures of Tommy.
Goalie's just... This is what he does in his spare time. He just entertains himself with GIFs and stuff of my face.
I guarantee Goalie's muted his mic because he's laughing really hard right now.
He is. He's tickled to death right now.
Okay. Favorite YouTuber.
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest, and I'm gonna say I really have enjoyed another STiKS fan member's content, which is actually Hitch. I really like Hitch's content recently, like his vlogs and stuff, but to not be like, including the STiKS fam. I'm gonna say I've been watching this guy for a while, but like I'll get on runs where I have to watch him constantly. His name is Fun for Louie, for those who maybe know. I believe he's from the UK or whatnot, but he travels like in every one of his videos. He's in like a new country all the time, and his videos are like super nice, super relaxed. He has really good content. He uploads almost daily. But he's been traveling for a long time, and he honestly should have a lot more subscribers than he does. He has 1.6 million, but I believe he just hit 1 million a couple months back. So,
wow,
doing this for
should have a lot more subscribers than he has. But he
no, I meant like
1.6 million.
Like he's been traveling like every day for like 3 years, making videos every day, and it's always good content. That's the only reason why I would say he deserves more. But so that was mine. STiKS chose Dr. Disrespect. Tommy chose Jacksepticeye, and Kingdom chose, who was it again? The Crash Course people?
Crash Course. Somebody in the chat actually said they loved it, so that's cool.
Okay. There you go. So that was our, obviously, question of the week. For anyone on YouTube, make sure to comment, obviously, on the VOD and let us know your guys' favorite YouTubers at the moment, and also put it in the chat if you guys haven't already done so. I saw a couple Syndicate projects. I saw a couple people mentioning STiKS people. Sharp. I have to agree. I've enjoyed Sharp's content. Also, so I'm gonna kind of hand it over to Tommy to kind of talk about Worlds and how the tournament format is working, and also the groups. So Tommy, if you'd be ever so kind.
Before we start, I paid y'all for the snack shout out, and I didn't get it. Okay, that's it.
I never got that. I never got the PayPal money yet.
Wait,
I am taking my PayPal money back. That's all I'm saying. Nobody said my channel was the favorite channel. Taking my PayPal.
Oh, The Ride is
the
best series on YouTube. Period.
Oh, Rick, I just got your PayPal notification. Hold
on.
It's got me
Anywho,
for on my AP exam. Oh, all right. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Tommy.
It's all good. So obviously you can't see my face, but you can hear my voice. So hopefully I'm all right. So obviously MLG Worlds, we kind of touched on this last week, but we're going to go in a little bit more in depth. It's basically a UMG style tournament. If you've watched UMGs, then you'll pretty much know what's going to happen. You obviously have 5 teams in 4 pools, and then the top 2 of each pool go into the upper bracket of the championship bracket. Bottom 3 go into the losers bracket. I think third place goes round 3. Third place goes round 3. Fourth place goes round 2, and last place goes round 1. And Kingdom's like signing or something while I was speaking. But
I was
anywho,
impersonating.
and obviously, so far we know 20. No, we don't. We know 16, sorry, of the 20 teams that are in the pools. The last team from each pool comes from the open bracket. What is a whole another kettle of fish, basically. All the teams that were at the top. Yeah, kettle of fish. Let's call it that. All the teams that weren't in the kind of top so many in their region for pro points, mostly pretty much North America, being top 12, I think it was, have to go in the open bracket and basically fight their way out of it that way. Top 4 make it, as I said, to the pool play stage of the tournament, where ultimately they can hopefully get themselves a good placement in the pool play stage to benefit them in the championship bracket. But if you do get to the losers bracket of the open bracket, it's not all over, because the top 4 that get all the way to the end of the losers bracket will then go to the championship bracket, round number 1. I know it's all a bit confusing, but honestly, watch it this weekend. It'll make complete sense. And goalie's just changed the picture again. How many pictures does this one?
Goalie's a certified.
Oh, look what he did to Snacks.
Jesus Christ. So basically, so what we're going to do is pretty much similar to what we did last week. We're going to go pool by pool. I'm going to talk about who's in each pool so far. And I basically won top 2 predictions from everyone to see who will go in the upper half of the championship bracket. And then I also want you to obviously tell me the bottom 2 teams that you think will go the losers bracket. And then also at the end, if we can have a little discussion on maybe the teams that will come out of the open bracket and potentially cause some upsets, or will be kind of notable teams to mention, aka Justice. So kicking things off, we've got Optic Gaming, TK, XGN, and Team Infused in Group A. I'm going to straight away throw it to Kingdom. Out of the 4 teams here, who do you see coming out first and second?
Out of Group A?
Yeah.
Optic Gaming. And crap. Gosh, I really want to say TK, man. I want to believe that they can do it. I really want to believe.
Outside
but
of TK, who poses the biggest threat?
Infused, in my opinion. Who's on your squad, Rick, right now?
My squad?
Are they on here somewhere?
Assault, Kenny, Spatially, and Envoy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Optic and TK. I think this is a group where the team that comes out of the open could pose a threat to at least breaking into the top 3 of this pool, of this group, depending on who they are. But
we have seen it in the last 2 events. Like we've seen E6 do it, we've seen Justice do it.
It's possible.
So
I'm gonna say OG and TK give the cliche answer.
So what? So on the basis of that, are you saying that XGen may come 4th? Because you said that Team Infused were the team to potentially challenge TK.
Yeah, I mean, Fizz and Killer, they fight so much on social media and on streams, and this is hard. I think it really depends on how Infused plays. Yeah, XGN has a chance, but I don't think they're gonna beat. I think TK is gonna take them.
Yeah,
they'll probably maybe win the S&D, but I think they're gonna struggle all tournament long on respawns, in my opinion. Study will turn up in those respawns, but I think they're gonna struggle.
Okay, that's fair enough. Throw it over to Landon and Snacks. Opinions on first and second? Are you agreeing, or is someone going to be bold and disagree and tell me the Optic are going to place last?
No, okay. Optic's not going to place last in that pool. That pool?
Is that what you're disagreeing with?
No, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing.
Optic's going to place first in their pool.
Yeah.
The question is who's going to place second.
Yeah.
Because TK hasn't been consistent. XGN, it's a toss-up. And who's left? The EU team. Infused. And they showed up pretty decent at champs.
Yeah.
But
although that was a very much different roster.
Exactly. So second, one is a complete lock.
Yeah.
Unless the team that comes out of open, it all depends on who they put in it. Because my team, the challenge, it's another open team that could challenge. And I forget their name right now. But I know my team is very strong. And the other team, I forget their name. I was just talking about them this morning. They're very, very strong. And those are two teams that I know that I've seen play Optic and challenge Optic.
Well, you're not talking about DT or Thrust, right?
No.
Yeah, so I was thinking.
A different team?
Is it like a 3s up or something? Or
3s up is now with that team
they
change.
dropped their roster actually, so maybe not.
See, I'm curious because like, how does that work? You can't change your roster, can you?
Yeah, I don't know. I presume 3s up on. Well, they're in the open bracket. They're not in the pool play stage, so maybe they can do that. But all I know is 3s up. They dropped Fox, didn't they?
They can change, but they have to find someone. I think they have to find someone with the equivalent amount of pro points. That's either right close to Fox's or right above his, right up under him or right above him. So it doesn't change their placing.
Okay,
that makes sense.
So are you saying that the team that comes out of the open bracket are going to probably cause an upset and cause more of a threat than an XGN or a team infused to this TK roster that have its arguably, they performed consistently all year?
If you look in that pool, there's not a consistent team in that pool that we can, all of us can sit here and say that team is placing second up on the Optic. Who can make that announcement right now? No one.
No one, yeah. Optic is the only consistent team in that pool, in that group. That's the Optic is the only consistent team. And they can actually play. I mean, I'm not throwing shots at anybody, but they could play, at 80% and still win that pool. They may lose to TK, but they'll still go 3-1 if they play not even their best. So
it's basically a fight for second. We're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically.
TK has to do their job. They got to do their job. Go ahead.
Mr. Rostermania, this is your job. To talk about roster changes.
Every team's roster, and I'm kidding.
As soon as you say roster, you just snap. You just snap into action. What are we thinking out of TK, XGN, and Team Infused?
Kind of just going off what you guys said. Obviously, Opt Gaming. If they do not make it out of this group, I'm probably just gonna head home early because I don't even know what is happening. So I think OG will make it through. Obviously, they're, like you guys said, the most consistent team most likely in the game besides FaZe, and you could argue other teams. I like TK. I like the recent addition of Apathy. He provides a little bit more slang, which is what they need. I have been seeing them struggle a lot. They got completely demolished. Not completely demolished, but they're having a hard time with some of these open bracket teams. They've been screaming DT a lot, and they've been having a lot of trouble. So, like I said, we could see open bracket teams come into play. XGN,
just to touch on that. Is it a case of kind of these more well-known teams and well-established teams kind of overlooking the open bracket teams, or is it just a pure case of there's open bracket teams that really are true contenders that just don't have the sufficient amount of pro points that these top teams have?
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the second. Yeah, that's what you said, second.
Yeah. I think it makes more logical sense going off the basis of the last couple of UMGs. What is the format for this event? It's been very evident that we've had, you go to the back at the start of the year, obviously because pro points were very much kind of less spread out, shall we say, and I think it was more a clear indication of the top teams. So we didn't see these open bracket teams come in and cause a massive upset, but to the latter stages of Advanced Warfare, especially the last two UMG events, we've seen at least one or two teams, what we've already talked about, make upsets. So off kind of the basis of that, there could be a team that we haven't even talked about that comes in and just completely wipes the floor with half of their pool, potentially.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a team that can like do that. It just depends like what team makes the open bracket. That's why I hate like doing predictions in some way because you don't know every single team in the pool. Because like we said, we've seen Justice at DC completely demolish their entire group, and no one would have even known that they were going to be in that group. So it's like there's so many different things that weigh in, but. You know, I agree with you guys on TK a little bit. You know, they're kind of inconsistent. They've had a lot of trouble in this game so far. We obviously had Neslo on the show last time, and he's a lot happier with his team now, apparently. So we'll see how that works with them. Kind of talking about XGN really quickly. I watched them play the 10K yesterday, and they played, I believe, at least one game. It might have been 2 games in the entire series or the entire tournament, and they played 3v4 without Killa because apparently he slept in or something. And like Study went off and dropped 50 in the first hard point, and then dropped like 40 in an uplink. So
then they played us.
Yeah, did they play you afterwards? I didn't know how far they were in the tournament, but
and then they played us.
But like I like XGN. The team is I like the guys on the team. It's just like they've had constant changes. They seem to be arguing just about every time I watch their streams. And trust me, it's always a fun time to watch, you know, Kill and Fisterp on the same squad. But if I see XGN doing well, Study has to be dropping 40 and 50s. Like, he's going to have to be the main slayer for this team to be successful, in my opinion. And as far as Infuse goes, I haven't watched them a crazy amount. That's the thing. That's like Marky B, along with like PD, Urban. I don't know. I think it's like Zero on that team too. Is it Zero? I'm not sure. So there's a good squad. I think Infused has beat TK in the past. Infused? Is that like Zero, Infused. Urban?
It hasn't got Urban on it, but let me just check because I don't want to get the wrong. I don't think it has Zero on it. I should really know this. That's the stupid thing.
Yes, you should.
It's the team with Marky B, Zero. It has got Urban PT. You are right. Okay. I know nothing about Europe apparently, or at least about
no, you're fine.
Time to move to America.
I think Goldie is really enjoying himself today on stream because I think I don't think I've ever seen so many horrific pictures of myself, but yeah, great. So if we go back to kind of, if we go back to facts, so we obviously, let's just pretend there isn't a 5th place. So out of TK, XGN, and Team Infused, I want one team answer per person. Who comes out second? Let's start with STiKS, Go Kingdom. Then Landon, then I'll give you my opinion. One word.
I'll go. One word, Study.
Okay, XGN.
XGN, all right. Dang it. See, now I feel like I'm just going to still say TK.
TK, Landon?
I'm gonna say TK too.
Okay, 2 TKs, 1 XGN. I feel like I should say Team Infused to give them some love. Damn,
Since
it's
you
hard.
know the roster, yeah, you probably should.
Shit. I feel bad. Tommy's just been getting shots all show long so far. As goalie laughs awkwardly, like
goalie laughing
in the background. I wish they could hear you, goalie.
Goalie must literally be ransacking my YouTube right now. I should block him. I should just somehow get like an IP blocker in and just block his IP. But I did give my opinion on kind of the OG situation, but I do totally agree. I think you're delusional if I'm honest. If you're gonna say OG aren't gonna get first, although in saying that, I do recall back at UMG DC, I think it was FaZe and Denial. We all said Optic, FaZe, Denial, Elevate would all come out first of their pools because they were the number 1 seeds. FaZe came out like 3rd, Denial came out like 2nd or 3rd, I can't remember exactly. So it is doable, but then again, this is OG and the teams they've got in their pool are, some at least, especially in regards to TK, have been inconsistent this year. So I think you'd be silly to say they wouldn't. And I think what's the point STiKS make is very good in the fact that, oh no, was it U Kingdom? Maybe in about Optic playing at 80%, they could probably still win this poll.
No, not
that's
probably.
Kingdom.
They can, yeah. They
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
I mean,
okay.
depending on the open
but
team, I guess. But yeah, that's.
Yeah. But we don't know who's going to come out. That's the thing. In regards to 2nd place, I don't think. I don't know. I'm gonna agree with Big STiKS. I don't know what it is, but
how though?
Every
I'm just
time
curious how like XGN is like a possible option. That's what I'm curious about.
People do the same thing with Optic Nation. They just believe in the team forever, even though they have not.
Like I don't know what it is, but
and I watched Study progress and become a leader.
Yeah.
Study has taken on that role.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
he's guiding these guys, and he's leading his team, and he's finally making the right decisions and putting his players and putting those guys in the right positions to win. Now he just has to get them to commit 100% and buy into what he's saying. And they do that, that team can be really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, that's my question though, Snacks, is can they do that on LAN? Can Study lead Killa and Fizzerp on LAN?
That's my thing. It's like it's not just player. It's those two.
Depends on what time you get Killa to go to bed.
He's going to bed early. Then you can tell that. I just think every time that we like have faith in TK, not that like I've ever lost faith in TK because I've always been, you know, a big supporter of TK all day, but I don't know what it is. As soon as I gain some trust in them and think, yeah, they're really gonna do well, and then they just disappoint me. I really hope they do well, but for the sake of the fact that, you know, these players like Killa, Fizz, especially Study, who had a really good year in GOATs, I would really love to see them really turn up after all the kind of the problems they've had with their roster and everything, and getting a fourth war. They've had arguments and all sorts. And yes, I know Fizz and Killer on the same team. People will argue isn't a good kind of two players to have on the same roster. But yeah, I don't know. Last event, all I'm saying is last year we had a very fluctuating end of a Ghost. You know, the last 6 LANs in Advanced Warfare for Ghost, you can go back and look. They were all won by different teams because we get to the end of the game and some teams and players stop practicing because they think they know it all and everything. And sometimes it can backfire. And it's teams like this that still want to prove something, still want to kind of make something out of this game that I think can potentially turn up.
Yeah, but this is a different this event is unique in that it's
massive, I know, but
yeah, it's a much bigger event than we've kind of ever had to end off a game. So
yeah, that's a good point. But still, I don't think the mentality is much different. Like if you go back to Ghost, it was exactly the same, where most players are playing all the new games that are coming out, etc. Well, I understand because at this point, you know, they should know the game inside out. But yeah,
but you just had a lot of shifting around. And
yeah, that's true.
And I don't know why they did it, but they done it. And that means all of them have to relearn how to play the game with a different player. And relearning to play the game again, focusing on a different spot, a different area. I was watching, okay, hold on, baby. I was watching XGN play yesterday. And I was listening to Adam, and he has never played the B-bomb on BioLab. How have you been playing this game all year and you've never had to watch that spot? And see, playing with a different team, now he has to learn something new. And you're a couple of days out from playing for a whole lot of money. Why are you just now learning it? And the game is almost over with.
Yeah.
See, those are the things that make a difference when it comes to playing on LAN.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I know. XGN to some people will see like a silly pick, but you know we'll have to wait and see. We'll see what they do on the STiKS. I mean, I'm sure we'll find out from their first series. What if I just actually look at things, I can probably tell. So XGN's first series is going to be against OG. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Oh no, it's against. Sorry, my bad. So that would be really interesting because obviously. Like I think that is the opportune moment to play TK because they're two teams that arguably, in our opinions, are going to come out potentially second. So you know it all comes down to what team is really raring to go and turn up because we've seen it time and time again where teams on the Friday just don't play the way we expect them to, and then it kind of hinders them throughout the rest of the tournament. A good example was FaZe. I think FaZe at UMG DC played completely different. Friday and the Saturday, and then I think it was the SMGs in the form of Attach and Zuma that really picked themselves up on the Sunday. So, yeah. Anywho, should we? We'll move on to Pool B because I think we've talked enough of Pool A. I mean, as we said, we don't know who's going to come out of the open bracket, but I think we can all agree that there are teams that really can be deadly and cause upsets within these pools. I think we'll talk about them at the end, though, just for sake. So moving on to Pool B, we've got FaZe with Optic Nation, ISO, and Vitality Storm. I'm going to start with my own kind of thoughts of this pool to start off with. I think it's like a replica of Pool A, because I think FaZe are the clear team to come out first. I don't think anyone can argue with that unless they underperform like they did at UMGDC. I think they'll have no real problems. But then after that, it is, again, a big toss-up. I think probably even more so because I think Vitality Storm poses more of a threat because of the experience you have on that roster. And then you've got ISO, who haven't made a roster change in a good while, so they've got that chemistry factor. And generally, they've been placing all right. They've been placing around top 6, top 8. And then you've got Optic Nation. Does anyone want to say that FaZe won't place first? Or predict that they won't place first?
No.
I thought Landon was going to stick up his hand and be like,
that was
I will
really
be
the
that
most,
man.
Not even. Yeah.
That was the most hilarious thing I've done the entire show.
So so we can all pretty much agree it's the same with the OG situation, but
Mr. X
Optic
saying
Nation,
FaZe and ISO in the chat.
That's what I was saying. I pick ISO to play second too. They've been the most consistent team in that group. So you got consistency, and with Nation making the change once again, that making those changes this close to an event always hurts your team. I don't care how many events you play together, how long you play together online, making changes a couple of weeks before events, you never get your chemistry right. And it never helps the team at all. So I go FaZe ISO 1 and 2. With ISO being the second.
Okay.
What's the map count ISO? Oh, go ahead, Tommy.
ISO FaZe?
No, ISO Nation.
I was just gonna say talk about ISO first because I'm gonna talk about a different team.
No, I was just asking Snacks, what do you think the map count's gonna be between ISO and Nation?
I think ISO can beat them 3-1.
Okay.
I agree.
Hey, the team is good. The org doesn't have a name, but the team is good, and that's something I've always tried to tell my players. Don't worry about that name on that jersey. That means nothing when those sticks get picked up.
Yeah.
Looking at that team, the name on that organization in front of you, and the organization is not playing. You need to worry about who's on the sticks. And that's what'll get you beat. Playing, think your name is bigger and you're supposed to win. It never works out.
Well, even head to head, the ISO gets a little bit of a nudge. I think if and big huge if Nameless is top 3 somehow in slaying at this event, Optic Nation could do something. That's my only but Nameless would literally have to be one of the best players at the event for it to happen.
My big thing for Optic Nation that I've been watching with them in particular is they've been having Nameless play with them, and obviously Nameless has been running the battle this entire game. Obviously, he's the main battle for TK. He's switching his roll up, which I'm not sure if Owen's good with that, but he's been playing an SMG a lot of the time, and I don't know necessarily why, or I mean it just depends on their play styles, but he's playing something completely different with what Snacks said, one event left. I'm not sure how he's going to transition, and for him filling in for a player like Moach, who was, excluding the last event, dropping 1.1s, 1.2 KDs for this team, and they were still narrowly getting by. Nameless is going to have to go off, and he's going to have to play, at least what I've seen in their scrims, a little bit of a different position. So I'm not sure how Owen's going to do, but I definitely think the second spot is going to be between ISO and Vitality, because Vitality has a really good roster on paper anyway. So I'm looking for them to maybe make some noise, but I have to agree with Rick. I think ISO is incredibly, incredibly consistent. I really like the team a lot. I like Dito's leadership, and I'm a big fan of Silly. A lot of people don't know too much about Silly. He's a really consistent sniper, and he always goes consistent, or he's always usually positive in games. Respawn or search, like him a lot.
X calls Vitality to beat ON. Man, Cat is.
What?
I don't think that's bold though. That's not a bold decision because
that's
Vitality
Vitality is a good team.
Not been. Yeah. I
think Vitality
you look at the players on Vitality, they're good. Wow. They're good players. They're probably some of the best players in Europe, guaranteed.
You mean to read you off the roster for Vitality Kingdom?
No, but have they been? I know who they are, but have they been able to play? Even Swanee came over here, like, Top Slayer over there came over across the pond, played a little well, but then did horrible on Optic Nation. Like, there is this. I don't know what it is. If we put something in their water, if we like poison their coffee, but these players consistently play worse over here, and that's why even in the last group, I was saying people were like Infuse. It's like whoa, calm down. I know Infuse was top 6 at Gfinity or whatever, but this is America. Like when they come over, they don't play at the same level. I don't know what it is. Jet lag.
Ooh.
I don't know what.
Mr. X called a 3-0.
I don't think that's I don't think that's crazy. I don't know why you guys think that's crazy. Like they have I'm not just saying their roster, but they have Tommy, Mad Cat, and Swanee, like 3 arguably of what would be considered like some of the best EU players of all time.
Well, the
don't forget
unfortunate
Joe
thing
as well. Like
Joe too. I was just saying those 3 because people would know who those.
Yeah,
guys
I get why you're saying him. He's just Joe this year.
I like Owen a lot, but and I know it's different coming over from like the EU to NA. But when you have 3 guys who are just already good, even in the NA or EU, like I don't know. I like Owen. I think it'll be a good game between them and Vitality, but I think it'll be a close 3-1, 3-0 for Vitality. Honestly, I really do.
If that happens, it'll be because Owen plays garbage, and it just doesn't work out. I don't think Vitality just steamrolls them like that.
They
haven't been. Owen have always been inconsistent.
That's true. I can't hate on that.
If Nameless is gonna run sub, that means Ricky is running AR.
Why isn't it? You said Nameless is for sure running the sub. He should be.
I'm not saying for sure. I've been seeing him whenever they play a lot. Like I'm not really sure what's going. I haven't watched Owen like consistently. He'll pull it out a lot of the time, but he's been switching back to an SMG, and I don't know why or like how often it is. But in the two nights that I watched them for a long time, he had an SMG out as much as he had a BAL out. It just kind of depended on what map or what game type they were playing.
Well, they're that team that plays the other team. They say, well, if Formal pulls out a BAL, do you want me to pull out a BAL? Like if you watch them when they're playing, they react to the other team.
They have to match.
There's like a FaZe and an Optic. They do what they want unless they're playing each other. Then they'll actually match up.
The thing was though, is that what Owen was doing is they played 2 teams in a best of 7. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like they were playing a bunch of different teams every time, but it seemed like he was. I don't know, but I agree with what you're saying. It's just I'm not sure why he's switching up so much. Like it was just like
shouldn't. They need
this
to know
game
what they're
BAL,
doing, like
this game SMG, this game BAL. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be different.
They gotta know what they're. I mean, the event is in a few days. Like you can't still be figuring out roles and stuff. Right. Like, it's not gonna work out.
Yeah, you gotta know what you're doing. It's just too close, man. To still be trying to figure out. I can understand working out kinks, trying to figure out your role a couple of days before the event. That's not gonna fly.
Yeah.
At all. That's just like going into a football game and we're gonna draw the plays when we get there.
Wait, you play quarterback. Wait, no, maybe he'll play quarterback. Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not gonna work out. Dang, people are saying that's crazy. This guy Deezus in the chat, he said for the first pool he had TK in 4th, and in this one he has Owen in 4th. Bold predictions, which actually could happen. That would be really.
And like I said, we also have to consider, and I know we can't, but the open bracket team, whoever it could be, obviously too. So
yeah,
I could play a role.
There's no knowing what it could be.
Right. Maybe it's Justice, Rick. Maybe it's Justice. Who knows?
Hey, they always count us out, but we never disappoint.
If you could pick a pool that you would want Justice to go into, which pool would you pick? Just curiosity.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Out of curiosity,
I'm really surprised if he doesn't.
I would take Pool A. We would take Pool A.
Pool A, you said?
Yes.
Where do you think you can place in Pool A? Like realistically.
Pool A is 1st or 2nd. There's no doubt in my mind.
What about Pool D or Group D?
No.
What's Group D?
You don't want in there. Elevate, Envy, Orbit, Citadel.
Nobody wants in that booby trap.
You got people fake shooting themselves. You don't want to go there.
That's a booby trap.
Oh, no.
I think honestly B would be, you would get second almost for sure. Like you would have a good chance in B. ISO would be your
You
competition.
have a better chance in A.
Against, well, yeah. How did you guys play against XGN? I'm guessing you smacked them on land or online. It sounds like you said
3-0. Beat them on land too.
So, yeah, A might be the best bet.
I like that confidence.
I have no doubt in this team, Doug, at all. Oh, these guys they're really, really ready to play. And they have no egos, which makes it even better. And Mike leads these guys, and they listen, and they all try to work together. They don't have too many problems. You know, as a team, they're going to have those fights and things like that. At the end of the day, they all have one goal, and they work together to try to achieve it. And that's what you want in your team.
I can see that. Well, guys, I think what we're going to do really quick, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to hopefully, I know Tommy's voice has been kind of in and out, but we're trying to get his connection fixed, and we'll continue talking about Group C and D. So don't go anywhere. We're right back after this quick commercial break.
We're live. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Are we here?
Okay, so I think goalie was meant to give us a nice fancy transition, but sadly, I think he missed a slip of the button. But we're obviously talking about MLG Finals, MLG Worlds, whatever you want to call it. It's $250,000 at the end of the day. It's a massive event to kind of say goodbye to Advanced Warfare. If you have just joined us, or if you're watching us on YouTube, hello, welcome to what is the STiKS, if you never watched this before. But we're going to continue talking about the pools. We've already talked about pool A and B. If you have missed them, there'll be a VOD up in a couple of days. You'll be able to see it then. Moving on to Group C or Pool C, whatever you want to call it. We've got Denial, Epsilon, Rise, and Millennium. Now, I want to do this kind of backwards this time. So, Millennium, coming into this, another European team, the last European team to talk about. From my insight from being in Europe, Gataga's had a rough year, rated to be pretty outstanding, I would say. So has Rudy, and Moose has been a bit after his kind of departure from TCM. Realistically, can this roster place in the top two? Anyone can take this.
What roster?
Millennium?
Millennium.
No, not in my opinion. Denial and Epsilon are better than Millennium, but hands down, in my opinion. I think they 3-1 them at the most. I don't think Denial would drop 2 maps to Millennium or Epsilon.
So you're saying Denial, Epsilon, and Rise will finish up?
I'm not saying anything about Rise yet, but I would say Denial.
Yeah.
He's asking, can Millennium finish top 2? And I'm saying no.
Yeah.
Denial and Epsilon are leaps beyond them. Like, I don't even think that's
taking into Rise.
I mean, and Rise is a great team as well. But
Landon?
Can Millennium place top 2 in this pool? I mean, anything's possible.
Landon.
But not everything's likely. So I'm gonna say
Landon's gonna pull that card.
Good cover.
So I'm gonna say probably not. I'm gonna say probably not. But like I said, anything's possible.
Come on, give me a yes or a no. Give me a yes or a no.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
So like they have a good like 15% if I was to give actual percentages. And that's relying on Epsilon and
I'm gonna agree.
Just doing bad.
Okay. I think I've got some technical issues, so I'm gonna actually throw it to Landon because I don't know what's happening with my connection today. Apparently, I keep cutting in out. Right now, you probably can't even hear me, but I'm gonna just throw it to you just for sakes because otherwise, I'm gonna say something. You're not gonna hear me, and we're gonna have some like awkward silence while we all reminisce on something that's happened.
I kind of like the awkward silence, everyone. It gives me like a second to like think of what I'm ready to say. But either way, so Group C, I know we have Tommy kind of like laying out a little bit. But Group C, your top 2, who do you guys think is going to make it out of this group, in your opinion? And maybe give like your insight on why you think what teams would move on, and so on and so forth. Because we have some pretty good teams in this group. You know, it's not regarded as necessarily a group of death, but it could be, like I said, anything could happen. So I'm going to go over to Kingdom because I know Kingdom's getting ready to leave here in just a minute to go pick up his kids, and he'll return. But Kingdom, who do you think is going to make it out of Group C in your opinion, and why?
Well, first of all, Tommy, just have some tea. I'll put some in the chat for you.
It's true.
Yeah, I need to cool off. I'm just so frustrated.
I love that meme, or that meme, that emote.
All right, you called it a meme. All right, so this is easy for me. This is one of the easier pools in my opinion. And if you guys don't watch Tommy Esports YouTube channel, please subscribe to this guy. He's doing profiles on each of the teams going up, and he put up his last one he put up was actually Denial, which was pretty good. He kind of gives ratings on all the players and their KDs and all that kind of stuff. And so I think this is between Denial and Epsilon. I think Rise, it depends on what the heck Aches does. If he, decides that he's going to show up at this event, or what'd you say, Snacks?
I just thought about it. I forgot Aches went to Rise.
Yeah, so it depends what Aches does.
There's another one of those team changes I'm talking.
Exactly, and I don't know how those dudes are going to play together. I can't even, Aches and Burns, I could just hear Aches yelling at Burns, like calling him a detriment and telling. I don't know how that team would work out, but I will say this, and I already said it. Millennium, they don't. Yeah, they're good, but again, this is traveling across the pond again, and it's not like they're traveling across the pond to play a Rise or to play an XGN or to play an Optic Nation. We're talking about Epsilon, which is like TR plus Parasite and Denial, which is one of the best teams right now on the STiKS, especially online. That team is pretty hard to touch, and so the two teams that are hands down better than them is FaZe and Optic, and so it's got to be Epsilon and Denial in my opinion. I don't think if anybody else has any other opinion, I would like to hear it, like on how Rise would beat one of those two teams or Millennium.
I completely agree. There's no doubt about it. There's Epsilon as strong as they are, especially with those 3 former TR players coming together, and Chris has finally got players that listen and play well together, and all of them, once again, have the same goal in mind. So that team is showed strong the last couple of months, so
yep,
you can't doubt that. And of course, now nobody's putting them
at
the bottom of the bracket. They're a good team. We all know that. Hugh is a must. Just leave it at that.
Who gives me nightmares? And he's 15 years old.
It's a monster, dog.
There's some happy people that he can't play in the World League because that dude, he's a beast. He's going to be in our esport for a while, and to think that he's,
future's bright with Hugh and the rest of these younger guys. But
TJ and all those dudes. Yeah.
TJ and the 2 guys on my team. Those 4 on one team is scary just thinking about it. And that might just happen when it comes to the smaller league up under the World League.
Now, Rick, as far as you know, they'll be able to play at LANs, right? If MLG does do any LANs next year or UMGs, they'll be able to play at those. They just can't play in the World League.
The World League, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I know UMG, they were on, or Chris was actually on the rant the other day, and he was, excuse me, he was talking about and saying that it's not confirmed yet that it'll be that it will be 18 plus for them or it won't be. He says that he'd like everyone to be involved, but he doesn't want to step on he wants to be in good company with them, but he has no problem making it, everyone involved. So I don't think that's confirmed yet, but he's most likely leaning toward that way for good. So I'm just putting that out there because he was talking about it the other day. So
all right, I'm gonna run and get my kids.
All right. So Kingdom, you said Denial and
and for the last pool before I leave, because you guys are gonna get to it eventually. Man, this was a hard pool to pick when we talked about this before. Gosh, these team changes are killing me. I'm just gonna randomly throw Elevate and Orbit as 1 and 2. I think Envy, because they're gonna have to learn how to play together. They didn't end up the way they wanted. They didn't, because they have Goon now, right?
Yes, Goon and Jared.
And that was not that. Nothing against Goon, but that was not what they wanted. Yeah. That was not what they were hoping for. So they have a tough road ahead of them. Again, like Snack said, they're going to be figuring out who's going to be doing what on each map, on each position, on each S&D. They got to figure it out. And when you have to figure it out against teams like Denial and Optic and FaZe, you're in trouble. So I just, that team's going to, but Elevate had team changes as well. So it's, I don't know. Who knows? Citadel could come in and try to prove they're more professional than we think.
Right.
All right.
All right, I think Kingdom's gonna. Yeah, Kingdom put his hat over the screen, so he's being a little creepy over there. So as far as Group C goes, Tommy, I'll give you a chance to talk. I know you've been having some issues with your mic and whatnot. So I'm gonna ask Big Snacks first. Do you disagree, or are you most likely gonna go with Denial and Epsilon for sure, Rick and Tommy?
It's a doubt, no doubt, Denial and Epsilon.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a. I like.
Oh, Tommy's having issues.
Like the whole kind of like I like Rise with Aches, but I don't see them beating Epsilon or Denial.
I'm sorry, Tommy was talking for me still. Okay, I have to agree. I think I like, personally, like talking about Group C for a second, I like Denial a lot. I think they're a really consistent team. Epsilon's done some crazy, some crazy stuff in the past. And, with their new pickup, excluding Royalty and picking up Aqua, having 3 players of TR is never a bad thing. Like, they placed second at Champs, 2 Denial as well. So, like, having 3, runner-ups at CoD Champs is by no means a bad team. So, really happy to see how Epsilon does, and I have to agree with you guys. I think Denial and Epsilon will make it through, to say the least. I think Rise is a good team for anyone that's in the chat and your guys' predictions. I like Rise a lot. I think Aches can bring a lot to this team. And, if there's any event that Patrick Price wants to turn up for, it's the final event to go out on for this one. So we'll see how it works out. I think Rise can do big things, but in this pool, it's going to be difficult, to kind of say the least. So
I'm still kind of confused on the Epsilon move, though. How do you get rid of the most explosive player on your team?
That's what I was curious about, too, because whenever Parasite kind of, announced that Royalty was off the team, he was like, we're adding more consistency to our team. And from what I saw, Royalty had had a pretty consistent KD for the most part. So, I don't know.
Royalty seemed to be the most explosive. And what the energy, not only the energy, but the unexpected things that he brought when they were playing. That he kept the momentum high, and playing with Royalty, he always gave you a chance. Mm-hmm. And how do you just get rid of a player? I understand the 3 guys from TR, they're familiar with each other, they played well together, but it's still not all 4 players. If they would have brought back, somebody help me here.
Facento,
then, and Chris left, then I would have said good moves. Because then you have a whole all 4 players together with great chemistry. But having 3 out of the 4 really doesn't make a difference. Because that team as a unit was great. That team divided, even with 1 less player, it's still not the same team.
I feel you on that.
I'd have rather kept Royalty and stayed where we were.
I know, for instance, Kingdom, as an example, he said that he'd prefer having Parasite over Facento, but you're saying that you'd rather have Facento or Royalty over Parasite, is that right?
If you're going to get rid of Royalty and bring in 1, you should have got rid of Chris and brought Facento. You put the whole squad back together. Why would you not want a team that placed second at Champs in this game? Why would you not put them all back together?
Solid point. I mean, you can kind of argue anything you want to be honest, but I have to agree with Big Snacks on that one. So I think we're gonna move on to Group D, obviously the final group in the MLG World Finals, and we're gonna go and talk about this one and kind of give our predictions. So the teams who are in Group D, obviously, are Team Elevate, Team Envy, Orbit, and Citadel Gaming. Now we'll be talking about Citadel a little bit more in depth for something that happened the other day in just a minute. But obviously these 4 teams pretty consistent as a whole. Your guys' thoughts on this group? I'm gonna let Tommy kind of go first, give his opinions on his top 2 out of this group, because I know he is having a little bit of trouble with internet. So, Tommy, if you want to go and talk about your thoughts about Group D, the teams you think will make it out, you are free to do so, my friend. Hopefully you can.
Nope, he can't.
Tommy can't.
Okay, so hopefully you guys are gonna understand this. But
there we go.
Obviously, got Elevate, Envy, Orbit. Should I just stop talking? Are we good?
No, Tommy, you're good.
Someone.
You're good.
Okay, this is surprising. Let's just quickly go. Anywho, top 2, I'm gonna go with Elevate and Envy. I know this new Envy roster's got Goon and Jerd's a god, but I think Envy will place higher than Orbit. Orbit have got to come then below them to give my bottom 2, and then Citadel, I don't think have a hope. No disregards to them, but I just don't think they're on the same level.
And the chat just took a big dump.
Did it?
I can't see it. I can't see it.
I'm having trouble listening to Tommy. I feel bad because I honestly have no idea what Tommy just said. Goalie, did you get any of that?
No.
No? All right. So I'm going to assume that Tommy most likely said Citadel is getting first. No, I'm kidding.
Elevate Envy.
Okay, he said Elevate Envy. Thank you for typing in the chat. So Tommy says Elevate Envy in that order. Big Snacks, do you agree, disagree, thoughts, your opinions?
Once again, we got 3 team changes. All good teams. But I would go with Elevate Envy just for the sake of being respectful, and that's partially right.
Right.
But anybody can steal that pool besides Citadel. I don't know how to chronicleize those 3 teams. I really don't, because it's a toss-up for me right now. Because who knows how Goon is going to mesh? You know, who did Elevate pick up? They got
Octane instead of Classic.
Got Octane. He's a strong bow. He's a strong bow player, but you still don't know on land. And that's what I'm saying. With it being so close to an event, making these changes is a toss-up. That's why I said that right before we went to the last event. Nobody make changes, please. Everybody stay together. And
I wonder why so many people made changes. Just insecurity or what? I'm not really sure why.
I don't understand it. You just played a whole season together. Why not finish it out at the second most important event of the year? Why would you go screw up things now? Even though you feel like you played bad, you played bad. Like I tell my team, everybody has a bad day. How you recover from that bad day. As long as your bad day is not Sunday, as long as you make it to Sunday and you don't have a bad day then. Your bad day can be Friday. But as long as you don't have any more bad days. You know, it's to be expected. Everybody plays bad. You can't expect to play great all the time. Even Michael Jordan had bad games. Shot 50 balls, only shot 35%. You know, everybody's not going to have the greatest day, but it's how you recover from those bad days what truly makes you a champion. But in that group, hell, I don't know. Ex Mr. X, he probably knows.
I gotta say, like, looking at this group, I think, in my opinion, I really like the new Elevate team. I know Tommy would kind of maybe insert as well if he could, but I'm sure he'll be typing in the chat. I think Elevate's a good team. You know, with the recent drop of Classic and filling in, now is Octane from Envy. I really like this new Elevate team. People could argue, and obviously say chemistry is a big deal. I totally agree with that. Team changes are obviously a big deal. Even if you place one player, that's a fourth of your communication that has to be switched up in some way, which, could lead to other things. So, honestly, I think Octane is a phenomenal bow player. I would regard him, in my opinion, as one of the top 3 bows in the game.
God.
He is. And honestly, I'm glad that Elevate and Envy are on the same pool. Team. That's true. He did come from Justice, didn't he?
Yeah. So did TCM. So did Chino. Oh, never mind. We're not going to get into that.
I got to say, whenever we talked about our teams that we wish would come back, I miss the old Justice team of like Tipsy and who else was it? Chino. Like I missed that team. What's that?
We'll see what happens in Black Ops 3. You missing Gucci, Chino, Study, Tipsy. That was a
Gucci,
great
that's
squad.
right. That's what I was thinking. See if they come back. It could be a possibility. Team roster mania happening on stream right now. Big Snacks giving us intel, most likely. No, I'm kidding. But kind of getting back into this group, I like Elevate a lot. I think they're a really, really solid team. But you look over at Envy, previously having Aqua and Octane. Octane was definitely the player that they kind of leaned on a lot of the time. I think Looney is a great player. JCap is in his own regard is a great player too. But even they would admit a lot of the time they would kind of rely on Octane to constantly drop numbers whenever he was dropping 1.2, 1.3 KDs at times, and ultimately they would get knocked out. But you also have to look at the fact and say, Envy with the team that they did have were in a lot of difficult brackets, a lot of difficult situations that could lead to some of their demise. But talking a little bit about Orbit, they recently had a change. They actually dropped accuracy and picked up replays. So to be honest, I'm a big fan of accuracy. I think he was a great player. He's had a really hard time throughout this entire year of AW. He was on that Aware squad, which got their spot in one of the seasons taken away. And him getting dropped right before Worlds was something I'm sure he was not probably looking forward to at all. But the roster currently for Orbit sits at Facento, Happy, TCM, and Replays. Replays is going to have another opportunity to kind of pick up another group of young talented players. Obviously on Denial he had Hook and Temp, and now he's got Facento, Happy, and TCM. So most likely all 5 of those players you probably didn't really know too much about before AW started. So he's going to have a hard task against this NV team. And to be honest, I think it's going to relate between NV and Orbit getting out of this group. I got to say, it's a difficult one. I know what Tommy said, in picking up NV. Someone said that Envy actually scrimmed Orbit and Envy completely demolished them. It is online, so I'm not really sure about that. But with the new pickups for Envy and having JCap and also Jerd, I think they kind of lucked out with Jerd in some ways. Not that Gunjar they didn't look out with, but I think the reason they picked him up was for the fact of a veteran player. They've played with him in the past. He's been on Envy, previously. So I think that was the reason why they kind of looked toward Gunjar for a formidable option. But I'm going to say Elevate Envy. I like Envy a lot. I think I like Orbit as well. I'm not really looking at Citadel to make too much noise, but we've seen AU teams do it in the past. As far as groups go, I'm going to go with Envy and Elevate out of this group. I think I'm going to agree with you guys. I like Orbit, but they're a new team. I don't see where the slang really comes from on a consistent basis. And I think the Envy really lucks out with having 2 great SMGs and Jerd and Looney. So that's kind of my predictions, kind of closing out the group. So I think what we're going to do really quickly is we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we might give our top 4s and also kind of talk about a recent situation which happened with Citadel Gaming. So we'll be right back, guys, and don't go anywhere, and stay tuned. Boom. Welcome back, everyone, to the STiKS Live. We're currently talking about the groups. We just got done with Group D, and we're going to be talking about some possible open bracket squads that could be making a little bit of a noise. I know Big Snacks, obviously a major team coming from the open bracket, most likely will be Justice, and we're going to be talking about his team along with a couple others that could be making it through the open bracket. So I'm going to go and start off. I'm going to say top teams from the open bracket that I'm personally looking at are teams like Justice, teams like DT. The new Thrust roster looks pretty good, as well as Lethal Gaming. I'm a big fan of Lethal. I'll talk about them in just a second. But, Big Snacks, along with your squad from the open bracket, who are you looking at to be kind of top contention with you guys in there to kind of, get to the top 4 of obviously the open bracket squad? The teams who are all kind of competing with you to get there.
Those 4 you picked are pretty much on par with what I expect. Lethal is dangerous. People underestimate them a whole lot. Lethal, I pretty much expect them to come out of open, make it into pool. Don't know which one. Nobody ever knows which pool you're going to go into until it's all said and done. But, yeah, Lethal DT is definitely coming out of open, going in the pool. We are. I expect us to. And that 4th team is kind of a toss-up. Thrust has a good roster.
Mm-hmm.
But, always a but. Last minute, they are all pro players, but coming into this last event and just trying to make that splash, who's to say what happens? And this is land. So, You never know how it's going to play out. But I really expect them to make it in the open. And those probably are my four.
Probably your four.
Unless E6 or Turtles usually make a small impact, but I don't know how much they changed up their roster. And E6 is usually a sneaker. I know they played bad at last at DC, but you don't count out those two Jordans. Those two Jordans are really, really nice. And you never really know what their team's gonna do, especially since they underperform, especially under their expectations. It's a good possibility they make it out of open in the pool play.
I can see that. I think like the major problem with like E6 isn't necessarily like their new roster, but I mean I think they picked up recently. They dropped Felony, who's now on XGN, and picked up Exib, I believe, who's previously played on E6 in the past and has previously played on like Onslaught with them originally too. So I think like you said, you can't count them out necessarily, but I think E6 is going to have a hard time with some of these squads. They had a really difficult time at DC, like you mentioned, and I'm not really sure how they're going to transition as well. But like you said, you can't count them out. They are a top contender for the open brackets as well. So Tommy, I think you're here. I think Tommy's good and well. Is there any team? Hopefully.
Yes, Tommy's here.
Okay.
Hey.
Is there any squads that you're looking at in particular, Tom? For the open bracket, I must say.
From open brackets. So we've already kind of touched on Justice, I presume. We touched on too much about Thrust.
We literally mentioned their name and that was it.
Okay, so let's talk about Thrust because I find this to be a very interesting roster because I don't want to say it was like the scraps of all the teams that kind of made roster changes, but obviously Machilla came from ON, Royalty from Epsilon, Fizz from TCM, Lacefield from XGN, and they all kind of combined together to make this very intriguing roster, I feel, that is either going to cause a lot of damage or they may not even make it out of the open bracket, I kind of feel. But on the basis of the players they've got on this roster, I think Fizz is an exceptional player. I know
Oh, Lord.
a lot of people saw him as kind of the TCM's weakest player, but am I good?
You're good.
Okay. I don't know what's up with my connection. I'm sorry though. But Royalty as well. Like obviously we talked about how he got dropped when you could argue he was one of their best players, and Machilla I think was ON's best player. So I think this is definitely a lethal team that can do damage in the pool play stage of the tournament. I think they've definitely got the capabilities of coming out top 4 and getting in a pool and even placing, I'd say, in some pools top 3 or above in their pool.
Yeah, Kenny is saying MW. But I saw a tweet last night from the MW players. They don't even know if they're gonna make it. So
They're not?
right now, it's hands in the air. So we'll see what happens with that squad. Kenny's saying MW is the old lethal squad.
I think it's Demise instead of Fox is the only player that's different. Because Demise came from VQ, and Fox obviously was on 3's up.
3's up.
I think I might be wrong, but I think that's the only difference. But we could see MW. I'm a big fan of Reviction for that team. Reviction's like a complete don. I casted over him in a PA like King of the Hill tournament. Completely went off against other teams. I think he played with God or X, so those guys playing together is not fun to be on the opposition of. So that could also be a potential team. But kind of talking about Thrust, I know Tommy was kind of mentioning them. You know, outside of chemistry, these guys are all like complete dons. And to be honest, I think they were kind of some of the players who were either dropped or, they weren't necessarily. Some of them were dropped. Some of them left the team by themselves. And all of them are pretty good. As far as Lacefield goes, he was previously on an XGN, and I think he led at DC in Search and Destroy as well as Respawn KD, so he's definitely got to be watching out for. Fears dropped from TCM. Really, really good. Oh my goodness, I think Tommy is in like a secret, like a crazy...
Oh, Tommy's in the back cave.
Tommy's gone. Oh, well, rest in peace, Tommy. Can we get some rest in peace Tommies in the chat? I'd appreciate that. But speaking on Fears, I think Fears is a really good bow along with Mochila from ON. Fears coming from TCM and Royalty. We talked about Royalty, an insanely talented guy, probably one of the best SMGs, plays on like 15 sensitivity, so he's capable of whipping on just about anyone out there. And another team that I want to talk about is Lethal Gaming. Lethal is a very, very good team. 2 players previously on Vex were both Cade and Ruiz, and Holler and Proto, who I believe were previously. I think I said that wrong. Cade and Ruiz coming from was the Turtles, and Holler and Proto coming from Vex. So I think this is a really, really good squad. I know, Rick, you said that they're a team that you're looking out for. Is there a specific player from Lethal or a certain like combination that you're looking at?
Holler is the man. Holler is straight gun skill, dog. That guy's shot is unbelievable. He plays really, really fast. And I watched them play a lot. And they're just really, really good. They're consistent. And consistency is what's needed in this game. You know, these guys, they've come together, and I watch the streams. Y'all don't know I watch a lot of CoD. I am always watching. Where do you think I get these young players from? They're really, really good. But these guys,
your eyes are
everywhere. Are really, really, really good. They play as a team, sort of like the old E6 squad. They play more off chemistry than gun skill. They would lose in the KD and the kill ratio, but they win because they play together more as a team than somebody trying to be a superstar. So that's what makes that Lethal squad really, really good.
It's interesting. I'm a big fan of Lethal's new team. Obviously, you have 2 different squads kind of combining together. I'm not sure if anyone knows this or not. The new Vex team. I don't even know if they're going to Worlds or not. But I know Prophet and Fastball are looking for 2. I'm not really sure if they ever found a team or not. But those are 2 really strong players, and having half of their team leave was a big deal. So we'll see how it works out. See if Lethal. And obviously, some of the teams that we mentioned will be top contenders. Now, I got to ask you really quick, Big Snacks, Justice. Obviously, you guys are looked at as a team to probably make it through the open bracket. Who do you think is the guys to go off? Who are the guys that you're looking at and saying, if those guys go off, we're 100% making it through the open bracket? Is there anyone that you're looking at, in particular?
Envoy and Kenny.
Envoy and Kenny?
Envoy and Kenny. Envoy is... He plays on another level, dog. He plays so fast, and he is far and away one of the fastest players I've seen play this game. His movement is stellar. His gun skill is impeccable. You know, he kills at a fast rate, and he plays the objective, which is unusual for a player that gets a lot of kills.
Right.
But he's an objective player, and he plays somewhat like Skunk. He gets those kills, but he still plays in the objective. He does what he has to do. He scores the ball a lot in the uplink, and he gets those kills going through the uplink because his movement is so good. And Kenny is an S&D Don. You know, he knows S&D very, very well, and spatially guides and keeps these guys and keeps their emotions down and keep them on a level playing field. So, and Assault is one of the best unknown ARs in this game. He holds his position. He doesn't play like a sloth. He plays his position really, really well, and he knows when to push out and help his team. So these guys, if I could keep these guys together and put them in the World League, oh my God, we cause some trouble.
I gotta say, I think before you guys got, I think it was Kenny. I think I casted over him in some type of way, whether it was like a 2K or a 5K, or it was some type of tournament. And I think they were playing, I'm pretty sure it was like Uplink. And I think he held down Glass insanely. I think he went on like a 14 or 15 kill streak with the bow. And I had never seen like anyone do that. And I don't remember what team they were playing against, but they were playing against a really good team. And I had no idea, like, if I would have just came into that game, I thought they were playing AMs or playing bots. Like, the way that he was getting kills was insane. I got the cast over Justice at DC against 3's Up. That was the game that you guys played against them to kind of get into the regular pool play stages. That was the one game I casted on Alpha, and there was a couple moments you guys kind of like looked a little bit shaky, but once you guys like got really consistent, once like you saw Envoy slaying out, and I think you went like on a 9 streak or something at hardpoint, that's when like you guys just turned it up immediately. I think you guys end up 2-0ing them, pretty easily. But it seems like once you guys reach that point of consistency, you're good. Like you're completely, well off.
Yeah, once they get to that point where they've eased into the driver's seat and they get comfortable, and they don't panic when they play from behind, which is really, really good. They're nice and calm. You don't never hear them screaming and hollering even when they're playing and they're winning. You don't see them up and down, jumping up and down. They always stay on an even keel, and they complement each other really, really well. And that's what makes them so great and so good together. Even separately, they play well. Kenny is great. He was an S&D star, but he's moved on to Respawn, and he plays those games very, 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 very well. He holds down his spots in the map. He knows when to transition and move into a new area. And what's so great about this team is when one player, all of them can play any role that needs to be played. That's what makes them so good. All of them. Assault doesn't have to constantly run a bow. Kenny can pick up a bow. Envoy can pick up a bow. Basically can pick up a bow, and you don't see that fall off when another person's running another spot. So they play consistently together, and there's no drop off when they have to switch roles, which makes them a hell of a team.
I think also like having, I know we kind of talked about everyone except for like Spacely. I think having Spacely as like not necessarily a veteran, but having someone who's used to this type of stuff besides Assault being at champs. But Spacely's been here. He knows how everything works, and I think he's honestly a really good kind of leader for this team in a way. He's very calm, and a lot of people don't really look at him as being a top player. But when it comes to grinding it out, when it comes to those clutch moments that you need someone to kind of direct you in, I think Spacely's honestly a great guy to have. He's very humble as well, and I think he kind of tops off the Justice roster in a very good way. A lot of talented young players along with Spacely, which you actually in himself is young too, but he's been playing for a while. So I think that's going to kind of do it for our top teams coming from the open bracket. We're now going to move on to a video that I made the other day, but also something that I want to talk about, which is very major in the Call of Duty scene and kind of missed, which is professionalism. So the other day, we kind of talked about Citadel. I believe they're in Group D. An Australian Call of Duty team, I believe they're the only AU team, at least in the group stages, tweeted out yesterday something pretty interesting that I honestly cannot relate anything else to that's ever happened before. So I'm going to read you guys the tweet, kind of lay it out exactly as it happened. So was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. I think it was the day before yesterday. Citadel Twisties, who is basically the co-owner of Citadel Gaming, tweeted this exact thing out. He said, unfortunately, Citadel_Dismal, which is one of their players, is currently in hospital receiving to a gunshot wound. We will keep you all posted. So as soon as this went out, Twitter blew up. And, to be honest, not that many people know about Citadel. I think the only reason people know about them primarily is probably because of Worlds. So when this kind of came out, everyone started freaking out. And I did too, because everyone thought that they were already in New Orleans, because obviously the travel from, Australia to the United States is a big one. So they probably thought that they were most likely already in New Orleans. And once this happened, everyone was freaking out. I was kind of double checking myself, and I know Goalie was too. Should we actually go to New Orleans? Like, are we actually risking our lives if, people are getting shot, like just, playing out? And it kind of went down to, it ended up being a joke, which I had, I honestly thought this was 100% real. There was nothing in my mind that thought this is suspicious, that this is weird, because it wasn't like players that we've seen in the past. There was no reason for us to kind of relate to a previous incident with this team that would have made us think otherwise. But a couple, I would say like maybe 20 minutes later, Twisties actually tweeted out again. He said, "I'm sorry to everybody. This is what happens when you stay logged in on your PC in a team house. So it didn't seem that it was actually twisty. It was most likely someone, most likely a player who was in the team house who tweeted this out, which is pretty interesting. So I'm going to ask really quick, Snacks. If this were to happen in Justice, let's just say, this happens to you guys, what would you necessarily do? What were some of the precautions that you would take if this happened to you?
First of all, whoever tweeted it out just lost their pay for that month. That's the first rule of thumb. And then you have to go to disciplines, and obviously players have to make an apology. The org has to make an apology. But the repercussion on that is now you're coming here and you cried wolf one time. That was your one shot. And now you have to earn your respect back, because now no one respects your organization or your players. Because that's a hell of a joke, especially what we have going on in the world now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't play simple jokes like that. It might have been funny to them, but for us that went through 2 college shootings last week and another one the other day, we don't want to hear about nobody else getting shot. They don't live here, so they might not understand that people getting shot here is a serious thing, and we care about things like that, and it affects us on a daily basis. But when they get here, now they're going to be the kids in the corner, or the kids off there to themselves because of one dumb prank. And that's unfortunate, but that's the way it's going to be. Now you're going to ostracize yourself, and all because I don't know if you were seeking or you were trying to get some attention or it was a dumb prank. But either way, it didn't fly well on this side of the pond.
Right. I know on Reddit especially, people were kind of talking about this and saying, should they be penalized in the World Finals for this? And I know it's one thing to kind of talk about something that happens necessarily in the World League. Like, obviously, if MLG, wanted to implement something and had to be involved with their, organization, whether it was like something that happened in game or someone saying something bad about MLG. But is there anything, like, would you expect, and I know a lot of people are going to, like, at least this came from Reddit, so keep that in mind. Do you expect anything to happen from MLG? Do you think, like, any precautions are going to be taken from them about Citadel? Because I honestly don't think there will be, but I wanted to hear someone else's perspective, and also the chat's perspective, if you think MLG is going to do anything about the Citadel situation at all.
Nah.
No?
Nah, they're not going to do anything. What can they do? Only thing they can do is stop them from competing.
Right.
That's pretty much about it, because that's the good thing about what's to come. We'll have a governing body. We will have a structure. Therefore, there will be rules, and then violations and penalties and fines and all those things of that nature can take place when things like this happen. But right now, there's nothing nobody can do. The only thing you can do is disqualify them and don't let them play, make them stay at home and save their money. But other than that, you got to let them show up and play.
Right. I was just looking at someone else's perspective as well, because I didn't really know. I honestly didn't think they can really do anything about that since it's on Twitter. It wasn't necessarily involving them. If they said, oh, I got...
Wasn't at the venue.
Right. If they would have tweeted out and said, hey, one of our players got shot while inside the MLG venue, that would be totally different. But since it just happened on Twitter, it wasn't really involving them. I don't think that anyone's really going to do anything. So I just want to ask someone else's opinion about that. Kind of moving forward. And something else, talking about the World League, everyone's kind of talked about it as well. And, do you think the 18+ rule, for instance, will kind of help with, and maybe diffuse, in a Call of Duty term, kind of diffuse all the stuff that happens like this? And I want to ask Goalie really quickly, do you know, possibly, Goalie, if these players are under 18, if any of the Citadel players are under 18 or not?
I know Dimsel is, but I don't know about the rest of the players.
Okay, so Dismal is...
He's 17, if I'm not mistaken.
Can they hear you, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure so I didn't, repeat everything that you said. Okay, but in general, I'm gonna ask Tommy this, and then we'll go to Big Snacks. Tommy, do you think the 18+ rule will kind of diffuse situations like this, in the future? Because it's not necessarily always under 18 players who do stuff like this, but do you think that will help in some way?
think it's a stepping stone. Obviously, there's still more you can do in terms of the actual. I think the teams need to take a step in the right direction, because obviously Citadel could easily, as Snacks was talking about, step in, or MLG could step in to do something. But I think the 18+ rule is definitely a step in the right direction, because generally speaking, the more older you are, the more mature and kind of wiser you are about kind of thinking about things before you say things, if you will.
Okay. Snacks, any comments about 18+, maybe stopping some of these things?
18+ is the perfect way to go. Not only being 18, you here in the United States, you're considered an adult, but it makes you responsible for your own actions. So therefore, whenever you do something stupid like these guys just did, you can be punished for it. And that's the difference with the structure. Like I said, this structure is what we need. What I've been preaching for almost 2 years. We need structure in this scene in order for us to move forward, get better, grow, and everybody become financially stable or financially independent, and turn this into their careers for the players, and the orgs turn it into something that we want. Everybody wants to make money. There's nobody in this business that doesn't want to turn a profit. If you're in here, you don't want to turn a profit, that means you already have money. You're welcome. But for this structure to come in is exactly what this scene needs. I can go on that crap for days. I've been lobbying to do this for so long, and I'm so happy that it's taking place. I just hope it's done in the proper way, and owners and the players are involved, so we can take steps together to grow, and not one side try to leave the other side out, or one side is trying to take advantage of the other side. There's always going to be a bigger dog, which that dog is Activision. But how close is Activision going to work with the orgs, and how close are the orgs going to work with the players? Orgs can only do so much. Players can only do a little bit more, but we need each other to grow. That's bottom line.
Yeah. From like an organization's owner perspective, like what more can Activision do to kind of make the scene more professional?
First of all, we need a big book of rules about this thick, what can and cannot be done. For this thing to take off, I don't know if it'll happen this year or not. Activision needs to follow the Riot model, not to the T, but as far as structure-wise and rules and the way this thing is set up and played, that's a perfect model. It's been there for years. It's worked. Why not take it, restructure it, or take some things away and add some things to fit what we do and run with it? Because all of us have seen for a couple of years now that this model works. Nobody in this chat disagrees. This model doesn't work. This model is fine. Or we could use that model, and how much, it all depends on how much Activision is going to listen to the owners and the players. And as owners, we have to come together and start working together. You can't have a certain group of owners over here talking to Activision.
Yeah,
this group
needs
of
to
owners,
be united.
This group of owners doesn't know what's going on, and only a certain amount of people eating on this side, and nobody's getting money on this side. We have to have a structure to bring these smaller organizations up, and these younger kids, where they can grow up and move up into the league when they become age eligible. It has to be treated like baseball. Baseball has a farm system. And same way I told Adam this a couple of months ago. This thing needs to be treated just like professional sports. You have professional sports, you have college, you have high school. There needs to be 3 steps, 3 tiers, and it works its way up from there. And that way, everybody benefits. No one is left out. And I can talk about that shit for hours.
No, you're fine. I think like another, and there's a lot of instances of players who are under 18 who make a lot of mistakes and do a lot of childish things. But I think one player who I look at and kind of like reference and not necessarily take that away, but it is Hook. Like Hook is obviously a very young player. This is like basically his first title, and he's completely came onto the scene and obviously is regarded as one of the best players that we have in the game. And never have I ever seen Hook ever either do anything unprofessional. I mean, he's not on Twitter as much, but he's one of the examples of someone that I like to see sometimes younger players and even players who are over 18 who do act childish at times relate to like how he kind of does things, because you can look at examples of people who are older than you, but there are sometimes the people who I've even seen in real life who I look up to who aren't even older than I am. And I think that Hook is one of those guys, to be honest. I really do.
I think you could stick General in that list as well. I think the dude just turned 17, and when he was on the 1v1, it was just the way he speaks and kind of presents himself was just, to a T.
Yeah. You said General?
General is a top-notch dude, man. He's one of the most humble teenagers that's in this scene. There are a lot of them. He's one of them. These guys, but those that's what you want, because you want the players that are up under them. You want those kind of role models in this scene. You don't want the guys what we used to have, where the players jump up and talk crap to each other across the doggone table because they're playing. We don't want the incident that we had at UMG Atlanta with the choo-choo and all that crap. We're trying to move far beyond that. That's history. That's good history, but yet and still it's history. We want that to remain there. We don't want to continue on that path. We want to get better as we get older. We had to start from somewhere, but now that we're growing, we need to grow together and grow as one. And you have to set an example for the smaller kids that are coming up so they can see how they need to carry themselves as they become bigger in the scene and they move up to the next level. There's always going to be that Terrell Owens out there, that Ocho Cinco, that Starberry, that Dennis Rodman type of character. But those are a few exceptions. We let those guys pass mainly because they're real good at the game and they really don't cause that much trouble. But for the most part, we need guys that have good heads on their shoulders and that are really trying to set good examples for these younger players coming up. And General and Hugh are pretty much perfect examples of those type of players that you want.
I can see. I definitely agree with what you're saying, and I know there's been a lot of other examples that we can look at besides Citadel. For instance, I know Fox, not Fox the STiKS fan Fox, but a Fox player from 3's Up recently actually said, I don't think he said this, but 3's Up, who had their entire team ready to go for Worlds, just told them yesterday, even after they booked his flight, that he can't go to Worlds. He just said that he's not going to be able to go, which obviously left them in a very difficult situation, because now they're looking for one player, and you have 2-3 days to build whatever chemistry you have, possible. I'm not really sure how this is going to work out for 3's Up. I think they're in a very difficult situation. And I hate to ask, Rick, like, what would you do in this situation? But I don't really think anyone.
Who's in that situation before DC? What do you mean?
That's true.
This is exactly what happened before DC. A couple of days before the event, Study decides he wants to go to XGN. What do we do?
That's right. I forgot about that.
Bring in Envoy, play 110K, practice for 2 days, hit the ground running. But talking about guys that have played together before off and on. So it's not like they were that unfamiliar with each other, but they hadn't been playing as a team as long as we were with Study.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible. It could happen. It all depends on the player they pick.
It'll be a very difficult, situation for them to get out of. Obviously, people have done it in the past. Justice, for example. We'll see how they do, moving forward. And you can also relate, some of these incidents that we have of unprofessionalism, not necessarily with underage players, but with that. And also, I believe the Epic Gaming League, for those who don't know, held a tournament, I want to say a couple months ago, which consisted of Isolation Empire and VQ. I think there were some other teams. ISO actually had Mochilla filling in for them. And due to some, sponsorship issues, they basically just said, you guys aren't getting your money. A lot of teams traveled there. Some of them live locally, but they played for an entire weekend and basically aren't getting their money from their tournaments. I know a lot of organizations and some tournaments you don't necessarily get your money as quick as you want to, but with this situation, you're not getting anything. So I know we could talk about professionalism with players, but organizations have to follow that same role as well. You can't just have players following it. You have to have organization runners following the same example. So I think I'm not really sure what's going to go on with that. I believe there are issues and people talking about lawyers and hiring people to kind of take care of certain things with that. So we'll see how that situation kind of works itself out. I was actually going to move on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Then again, that bows back into the structure. You're always going to have that one guy that never has his ducks in a row, and players are going to get screwed. But that goes back into the structure of we have that list of tournaments that we know that you're going to get your money, and those tournaments that if you go, you're on your own. That when it comes into this structure, we have sanctioned tournaments. This tournament organizer over here is sanctioned from Activision, so they have no choice but to have, before they have this tournament, they go to Activision, they say okay, you have to have proof of your money and all that before we can even agree. That comes with that kind of structure, and that's going to bode well for us moving forward. Hopefully all that comes.
Right. It's going to be a difficult, thing to get past, and I honestly feel really bad for everyone who's involved, because I don't think it was Epic Gaming League's, intentions to not pay out. I think it was just kind of a difficult situation. But you have to have people tied down, like you said, Big Snacks, and you do have to take risks from time to time. It's not always going to be a UMG, an MLG type of person running the tournament, and you have to kind of realize those certain things and kind of move forward with it. I was actually going to talk, or Kingdom actually had a topic set up that he wanted to talk about to do with the realistic mode. For instance, in the campaign for Black Ops 3, he's not back yet, or he's not coming back. I'm not really sure what's going on with him.
He's sleeping.
Is he sleeping? So I saw his hat moving a couple times, so I'm not sure what's going on. If they're having an earthquake or what's going on. But I think we're gonna move on to some questions from Twitter, and we're gonna kind of answer you guys' thoughts and kind of close out the show in a pretty calm fashion. So I'm going to go to the first question, who is going to come from Synergy Rage. He asks, is it possible we see neither Optic nor FaZe win Worlds? Hashtag the STiKS Live, hashtag Worlds. So in any of your guys' thoughts, is there any possible way that we will not see Optic or FaZe win Worlds? And I'm going to go to Tommy first. I think Tommy should be okay to go, but Tommy, is there any... Crossed. Fingers crossed, exactly. Is there any ideas that you have where you don't see Optic or FaZe winning?
I haven't even considered it, but no, honestly, I think either one of them is guaranteed to be in the final. And I just can't see a team outside of FaZe or OG winning.
FaZe or OG. Big Snacks, any thoughts? Would you be surprised, or not surprised, but do you have any predictions at all where you don't see OG and FaZe winning? And I know you got to take in consideration Justice as well, but
it's possible. It's possible. Like I said, anybody can have a bad day. Just hope Saturday is not that day. But they have the better chance of being in the finals than any other team in the event, including mine.
I think, honestly, if I was to look at one particular team besides some teams that we could mention, I think Epsilon honestly could be a contender. We also have to take in consideration the roster changes that they've made with Aqua now instead of Royalty, but they made changes. They made some pretty insane movements in the past. They beat at season 3 playoffs. They beat Denial. They beat Elevate. They beat FaZe once. They lost to OG and FaZe.
Nearly beat OG.
Yeah, they were up, I think, 3-1 over OG and 3-0 over FaZe.
Yeah, exactly.
So we could see Epsilon be a top contender this tournament as well. And, something that Big Snack said as well, you cannot have an off day on Saturday or Sunday because it's obviously the biggest time to try to go off. So it is possible. Is it likely? Probably not, since we've only seen 3 different teams kind of basically win a major, which are Optic Gaming and FaZe, who mostly have been in the grand finals, and Denial winning, not Worlds, but CoD champs. So anything is possible. We'll see how everything kind of turns out, but we're going to move on to the next question, which is actually going to be coming from Gahad. He says, since this is the last event, who do you think performed the best across the entire game? Full in-depth explanation, please. So, I mean, we can talk about this for as long as you want to. He's asking for a major full in-depth explanation, but who do you guys think has been one of the most consistent players throughout the entire game, in your opinion? I'm going to go to Tommy first. Tommy, if there's one player who you've looked at and said, this guy's consistently going to drop numbers, who has it been, in your opinion?
I think it has to be Scum. I know there's other players that have performed consistent as well, but Scum just, it doesn't matter what Call of Duty it is. Since Black Ops 1, has always been a top player, has always been very consistent, and you always know what you're getting out of him. Okay.
Big Snacks, any, you can agree with that, or even add a different player who's been most consistent that you've seen throughout the entire game?
I agree with that. Scum has been one of the most consistent players that drops numbers. And that's been all CODs, not just this one. Guy's just good. He is
an animal.
He's very, very good at his job. But play has also been consistent. So has Enable and so has Attached, because you can call out any player on Optic or FaZe because they won everything.
Right.
All those guys have been completely consistent. Even Enable has probably been one of the most, because he's won on both Optic and FaZe, if you really want to look at it. But yeah, all 8 of those guys are consistent as hell.
There's a lot of people that you could argue, but yeah.
I made it hard for you.
Right? I think, to be honest, I have to kind of agree with, the Scump type deal, just for the fact of, how good he has been. Not, talking about other CODs, because it kind of talking about this game specific, but, you just see the numbers that he drops, and, he'll get a 40 bomb, a 50 bomb, and you'll just be like, that's normal. It's not at all a weird thing to see Scump not dropping numbers. I mean, you're always going to see him being the highest KDs, and it's something that you just look at and you're like, oh, that's right, it's Scump. It's it's not.
But he does
the
OG. He does the OBJ as well. What's just the next level?
Yeah, he's involved. I think he's one of the most involved players throughout an entire game. For instance, it was always a hard thing for other players. For instance, in basketball, it's you want to be doing everything, you want to be moving around the floor and whatnot. And Scump is that alternative for COD, because he's going to be doing everything that you want around the map and be one of the best at it. So to be honest, I can kind of say Scump. Another player besides Clay and obviously the options from both FaZe and OG, I would say Hook. I think Hook's been incredibly consistent throughout the entire game so far. He started off on Carnage and then later went to Stunner and has been on FaZe and Denial both. And for all those squads, he's been so talented, and he's done the role that's desired. I know there was a lot of struggles with Denial, talking about them not getting in the objective, but he's done what's been asked of him, and he's done it in a phenomenal fashion. So if there was a player to kind of compare that to who isn't on, FaZe and OG, the 2 most consistent teams that we have in the game currently, I'm going to go with Hook. I think Hook is, when you look at the top KDs and the top major things that Hook does, he always seems to be a very top player at whatever he does. So I think that's something that I always look at whenever I see a team or a player like him, and he seems to do his role pretty well. So
I think that's valid.
Valid. Is there any other players that you guys think of?
Maybe Slasher. I mean, I know obviously since he's transitioned over to Denial, he's had a couple ups and downs, but I think Slasher throughout the majority of Advanced Warfare, for me at least, has been a very consistent player. You always know what he's going to get out of him, and he always can put up big digits.
I can see that. Big Snacks, is there any player from Justice, for instance, who you think is always going to get something consistent out of them?
Race is the most consistent player on the team. probably the most consistent player on the team. Other players will have good games and bad games, but Spacely always, always does his job, and that's what makes him a good leader. He sacrifices himself for the team and does whatever he needs to do, but his numbers are consistent across the board on every game type. They never, people. Some players have those peaks and valleys where some days they're just up, but Spacely is usually around his normal numbers. They don't never spike up too high or drop down too low. So he's probably one of the most consistent players I've ever had on the team.
Okay, I kind of agree with that. I mean, for the most part, he plays his role very, very well, and you can kind of compare consistency and say, oh, it's whoever's getting the most kills. It's honestly like if you look at consistency, it's not necessarily the one stat of killing. It's the stat of getting in the hard point, doing whatever you need to win a
It's
game.
across the board.
Right. It's not just one particular category. Consistency can range from a number of different things. So we're gonna move on to another question, which is actually coming from a STiKS fan member and Crush Sniper, who asks, as an owner, what needs to be done to make sure COD continues to grow as an esport? I know we kind of talked about the 18+ rule, so kind of taking that into effect. Is there anything else? I know STiKS, for instance, as well as Tommy. Is there anything else that you guys are looking at that needs to be implemented, obviously, to make COD continue to grow, in other aspects of things? Is there anything that you guys are looking at or that you've seen that will kind of help COD grow that hasn't already been talked about at all?
The only thing that's going to help us grow right now is structure. Structure is the key to our survival right now. We're in the wild, wild west. We have no laws. We have no governing bodies. Players pretty much can destroy your whole roster in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Those things need to be held under control. We need those dates and those deadlines set where player movement can happen. And MLG somewhat did that, but when free agency took place, players were able to just bounce around, and there needs to be structure when those things happen. Players, we need to make this just like the professional league. Players need to have permission to talk to this team. We us as owners, we need to know what's going on because just like 3's Up is right now. You're 3 days out from an event and you got a phone call that your player can't make it. That shouldn't happen. This guy drops almost $1,000, and now if he doesn't have flight insurance, he's out.
Right.
He's out. Money is gone. There's no getting that money back. That money belongs to the player. And what can we do as owners? How are we going to get that money back? So structure is the most important thing that we need to have as a whole to make us grow as a complete esport. Every other esport has it, but us. Even the CSGO guys are working together. We don't work together at all. We're separated. We're separated into groups. If you're not friends with this owner, you're not going to know what's going on. That stuff shouldn't happen. I understand there's a hierarchy, but if we're going to maintain a balance and we're going to maintain growth, we can't depend on Optic to do it for us. That's not going to happen. That's not how it works. And the last couple of years, everybody's been growing, and it's been every man for himself. So structure is the key.
Structure? Okay. Tommy, do you have any things to kind of go along with that possibly?
I totally agree with Rick in a lot of ways, but let's not forget, as much it's the players that kind of drag down the professionalism within Call of Duty. We have had incidents with organizations like Aware where they sold their where they sold their roster spot to TCM, if I remember correctly, and their players had no idea. Like TJ Halle was coming out of school and Happy and Accuracy and people like that, and they had no idea. So it kind of works both ways. I definitely agree with Rick though. We need to be working together rather than against each other. But there needs to be some sort of structure that says, and rules as well, that say okay, if you want to make a roster change and you're looking to pick up that player, do it through the org rather than through the player. That's the way it should be. And there should be rules that say to, initiate talks, you have to do certain things, and then talks can only last for, say, like a 24-hour period. And then if a decision hasn't come to an end, then they don't make the roster change, etc. Rather than the players doing it, them going to Twitter to announce it. I think more organizations need to adapt the route of announcing things via their website, or whether it's live on the Esports report or whatever it be, just something other than Twitter, because it's just a shambles. Because like when we sit in chats in the STiKS, we don't know what to believe and what not to believe, because organizations half the time don't tweet it out when the players do.
Right.
Right. Because organizations try to be organized and have their ducks in a row before they just go spouting off things. These players, they'll say this is what they're gonna do, but they don't have confirmation from the other org owner.
Exactly.
Things haven't done, but they'll tweet it out. Then you're looking at Twitter like, what the freak is going on? And then it all falls apart. Things like that shouldn't happen. We need order and structure and rules. Just like the cartoons my kids watch. What is it? Doc McStuffin. She has the big book of boo boos. We have a lot of those in Esports. Bunch of boo boo, and we need to fix that. We need that governing body, that structure, that order, so everything runs smoothly. Whenever Kingdom gets back in here, he can make some noise.
Yeah. I think Activision stepping in, though, is a massive step in the right direction, because, yes, they've given us the $1 million tournament, but them actually stepping forward and saying, look, we're going to take over the league rather than having MLG or Gfinity doing it, is only good things, because they're ultimately going to bring professionalism. It's their game. It's on them, if anything, to do this. If they want Call of Duty Esports to survive, and this is obviously a growing concern, and there's various scenarios like what we talked about, 3-Star back when Aware dropped their entire kind of spot on the league and so on. So I think Activision need to formalize a team, what I know they're already creating to do with esports, that can come up with rules and regulations that apply to teams and players. And if that involves player unions, team unions, then so be it. But at the moment, we just don't have enough structure, ruling, and anything. And everyone just seems to have kind of the freedom to do what they like and just move around like it is musical chairs.
I think to kind of go along like with what you guys both said, I think structure is a major thing. Obviously, structure can be related to and kind of branch off of like, we need structure here, we need structure there, we need structure, in different positions. But I think a major deal is, what I relate to kind of every day has to do with social media. In some ways, half of the stuff that we see and, some of the stuff that we relate to is, there's roster mania happening because, let's just say, Enable changed his gamer tag, or Enable changed his his Twitter handle. Like that, you shouldn't have to relate stuff off of that. We should be hearing announcements coming from the orgs directly. And then once that decision has been announced, then we see the players fall in line after that, which has to do with the World League. I hope that Activision does take social media as a major aspect of it, for the fact of everyone who basically is on, in the major Call of Duty scene is on Twitter. MLG, or not MLG players, but Call of Duty players have some of the biggest followings out of any other esport players.
We are the biggest and the most active community on Twitter in the esports arena. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, you look at like these, for instance, CS:GO players who have, for instance, will have million viewers at times, and they only have, around 100,000 followers. And I think some, not AM players, but players who aren't necessarily as known but still play today, have over 200,000 followers. Like, there's so many great young talent in other esports that don't even compare to some of our players.
We just need to utilize social media in the right way. I think at the moment we're just not doing that. And I think a big thing, as you talked about, is the whole kind of the way announcements are done at the moment. I get why they do it over Twitter. It's where they have the biggest following, and it's where they can get the news faster, spread across the community. But I think there's better ways to utilize the social media, and I just hope Activision can see that.
I hope
all that falls on the structure, fellas.
Right.
We have the structure.
Yeah. 100%.
In place. for all that to take place. We'll have a tier system. You know, it'll be a hierarchy, but everybody will know what they're supposed to and what they're not supposed to do. And there will be penalties and repercussions for those of you that want to be idiots and act like Terrell Owens and be doggone Dennis Rodman and do stupid things. You're going to have those guys. But Daddy always told me the best lessons you learn are the ones you pay for. So we have that structure. Everybody's getting paid. If I start taking your money away, you'll start doing stupid things. So
Yeah.
you'll fall in line.
Right. Structure a major deal, which obviously is broad, but some of the things that we've talked about are perfect examples that need to happen. So I think we're kind of branch off of what needs to be done and move on to the final question, which is actually coming from Mr. Kingdom Soldier himself, and he actually asks, "When is Kingdom going to get his Justice Pro jersey?" Which I want to kind of relate to really quickly and say, if Kingdom was going to Worlds, it'd be a perfect opportunity. But since he's not, basically
that is correct.
So I think that might be your answer there, Kingdom.
Kingdom will get his Justice Pro jersey when the new Justice apparel is announced here in. Right after.
I like the sound of that.
Right after Worlds, we have some things in the works. We'll have a new apparel shop. We'll have a new jersey company, and the guys that have asked me for jerseys and hats and things of that nature, they're going to get their jerseys. Kingdom and Sifi and Carter and Mr. Keep It Real, those guys like that. They're definitely getting jerseys coming. So give me a couple of weeks, and we'll get you taken care of.
Exactly. Once Kingdom comes back on the stream, it might help it a little bit even too. But no, we're gonna kind of close out the show, guys. Kind of give our outros. I know we've had a little bit of issues throughout the show with Skype being a detriment, but we've tried to work through it. I think we've had a lot of it's been more of a calm show, but I think we've given a lot of good information, had some really good talks. So I think we're gonna give our outros, 30 seconds or less. Shout out whoever you want. And you can shout out sponsors, do whatever you really want to, so on and so forth. So I'm going to start with Tommy to give his outro, then I'll go over to Big Snacks, and then I will kind of close out the show as well. So Tommy, if you would ever be so kind to give your outro.
So I guess I just have to start by apologizing. Obviously, I've had some massive connection issues. I don't even know what's been going on. I'm convinced I've been getting throttled. But thank you, everyone, for watching. I haven't been in the chat for the last half of the show or anything, but I'll be sure to be in the comments of the YouTube. So if you are watching this on YouTube, do leave some comments or whatever about what we've been talking about, and let's talk about it. But yeah, you can catch all my content and stuff on YouTube. I'm sure it's probably easily found. I mean, my Twitter's XL_Tommy. But yeah, thank you, everyone, for watching.
I like it. Snacks?
Oh, man. Thank you guys for having me once again. It's a pleasure to discuss and say how I feel about certain things. I really enjoy being able to have this platform. You guys can follow me on Twitter and every other social media outlet as Big Snacks. 2Ks on everything. Follow the team on Twitter, Justice Pro, YouTube. Make sure whoever is going to New Orleans to find me. I will have some things down there to give away. And stop by the Pro Kids booth and see my friend Mr. Ray. Make sure you get you one of those backpacks, man. They're really nice for people that travel a lot like myself. And because I take my kids and they take their games, so that backpack is a safety harness for me not breaking my stuff. But thanks again, guys, for watching. Thanks, Rustler Mania and Tommy and Sleeping Kingdom Soldier over there for having me on. My pleasure as always. We out. Damn it. Take it away, Landon. Landon's going to be on Justice before y'all know it, so don't worry about it.
I'm going to be a player, so watch out, everyone. Because I'm really talented. Not at all, but...
Yes.
But yeah, and by the way, does that relate to, you said Big Snacks, anyone who's going to New Orleans might get some free stuff. If me and Goalie come up to you at New Orleans, do we get free stuff too? Is that an option?
I know you guys.
I don't think so.
Oh, I'm giving it away to random people anyway, so sure.
There we go. I like it. goalie, we're good to go. We got some free swag coming. But no, guys, thank you so much for watching the show. It's been your dude, your bro, your pal, your man, your ally on the internet. Guys, thank you so much for watching the STiKS. Like I said, I do apologize for us having a little bit of issues here and there, but I think we powered through and had a pretty good episode. So that's going to kind of do it. If you guys want to follow me, you can do that at Mr. Roster Mini on Twitter, as well as just search Air Landon. Actually, I got the custom URL the other day. So if you want to follow me or subscribe to me on YouTube, it's youtube.com/AirLandon. You guys can kind of do that there. Massive shout out to all our sponsors, both G Fuel and Scuff. And we will be having a possible couple of announcements coming soon with some new sponsors that we have coming as well. I believe Kingdom got a massive type of care package from Scuff, and or not Scuff, excuse me, from G Fuel. And they also recently kind of announced a new flavor, which is pineapple. And I'm going to have to try that at New Orleans.
Tommy in the shower picture.
Tommy, are you in the shower still?
There we go.
I think goalies had a
see
better time
what's-
than anyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say goalies had the best time. I can't see the stream or anything right now, but I can only just imagine like.
Yeah.
I'm literally gonna watch back the whole show on YouTube because I'm just gonna have to see. I'm gonna have a count of how many different pictures and memes and gifs he puts up of me.
There are quite a few.
It could have been worse.
Could have been worse. I don't know how.
I'm glad you've had a good time.
I'm glad goalie enjoyed his time on the show. But guys, like I said, make sure to check out our sponsors and make sure to use code the STiKS at checkout for Scuff and also G Fuel products. That has been it from us here at the STiKS Live. We'll see you guys next time, most likely on Monday, and hopefully with everyone being awake and people not in showers and whatnot. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you all next time. And peace out. Boop.